It was wrong. Because here it is, she is the highest law enforcement agent in this country, and people are watching and they are consuming this information, and they are believing that simply because I decided that I wanted to exercise my right to free speech, which I am not abridged from doing, that she then wanted to then politicize something that should not be politicized. I don't like Elon Musk. I'm going to say it 50,000 times. I don't like him. I don't like that he going out there and he...
Representative Jasmine Crockett delivers a fiery speech on Capitol Hill, calling out political hypocrisy, injustice, and corruption in both parties. In this Think Big episode, we break down her message, react from a patriotic lens, and discuss what it really means to stand for what's right in America.
Thank the chairman. I now recognize the ranking member of the subcommittee, Jasmine Crockett.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. And I first just want to begin with a news alert. Guess what? Joe Biden is not the president anymore. So maybe we can move on. Maybe we can move into the present, because it seems like we are living in the past. And listen, these are not the good old days, you know, like you used to sit around and your grandparents would talk to you about what used to happen. What we need to be talking about is how we are going to legislate, because I think that some of my colleagues have confused what our jobs are. And I get that we're sitting in judiciary. And so it may seem as if we are here to be litigators, but we are here to be legislators, which means that we are supposed to be writing laws, not trying to have our own trials and determine whether or not something is true or not, or whatever the case is, or who should be sued, who shouldn't be sued. All I know is that a great American hero, a good senator out of New Jersey, said something to the effect yesterday as he was shattering the record for holding the floor, a record that had been held by another racist in this country. As he shattered that, he said something about the fact that this should not be about left versus right. It should be about right versus wrong. And I am going to tell you that I want us to focus on right versus wrong. The reason that we are struggling right now in this country as it relates to people not trusting agencies, honestly, a lot of it is because of elected leaders. Let me tell you, one of the things that the chairman and I actually agree upon, we don't agree on a lot, is that we both know that there has been a sharp incline as it relates to threats upon our lives. Regardless of what side of the aisle you sit on, we both know and agree that as sitting members of Congress, we both are enduring more death threats than anybody should in this country. And I believe that it is because of the divisive rhetoric, and it is because of the selective enforcement of things. And so when we have, and I'm gonna be clear, because I had remarks and I'm going a whole other way. To have the sitting Attorney General go on, and I'm gonna call it faux news. I know some of y'all love it, but it's fake to me. To have her go on Fox News and to then decide that she wanted to send a threat to me, it was wrong. Because here it is, she is the highest law enforcement agent in this country, and people are watching and they are consuming this information, and they are believing that simply because I decided that I wanted to exercise my right to free speech, which I am not abridged from doing, that she then wanted to then politicize something that should not be politicized. I don't like Elon Musk. I'm going to say it 50,000 times. I don't like him. I don't like that he going out there and he firing people. I think that he's a crook, because somehow the rest of us can't sit around and get whatever federal contracts we want. The rest of us can't sit around and get law enforcement and get them somehow ordained as federal law enforcement to protect him. The rest of us can't get our dealerships protected by the federal government. That is somebody that is operating above the law. For whatever reason, just because he has a lot of money, more money than everybody else. And yes, I am happy to see that on my birthday, which is what I said, there were peaceful protests around this world against him, because he is a problem. And so you never should have somebody that is sitting that high and is going to sit up here and threaten a sitting member of Congress when she knew good and well, if she watched the entire thing, that I specifically told protesters to make sure you consult with lawyers, just like I've told protesters over and over and over in the history of me advising people to go out and exercise their constitutional right. The fact that there are other sitting members that have received letters of threat from this new DOJ tells me that they are about retribution and they are not about following the law. The reason that our party, or I won't even say our party, our country is torn apart is because we can't even agree on right versus wrong. This should not be left versus right. The only thing that we're asking is that we have law enforcement that will show up when there is an actual crime. If somebody calls and says, hey, I need you to investigate this cyber crime, or I need you to investigate this child pornography, or I need you to investigate this robbery, then we want somebody to show up, and we don't want them to look at us and act as if just because I'm black or because I'm woman, that I am not worthy of having that case investigated, because we have an administration that is continuously railing against diversity, equity, and inclusion, or we don't need people that show up that feel like diversity should not be valued. That is why we should have somebody that may show up and looks like me. The final thing that I'll say, because you've been gracious, is this. When I first became a public defender, I had no criminal defense experience. And I walked in and I told my boss, Charlie, I said, listen, you should hire me. He said, why? I said, because I'm black. Charlie looked at me like I was crazy. And I said, let me tell you something. When I walk in, I'm going to walk in with a level of rapport and understanding that maybe some of my other colleagues will not. Charlie offered me my job, and I worked my butt off, and I worked really, really hard for all of my clients, not just those that look like me, and that is what it looks like to serve. Thank you.
Welcome back to Think Big, the channel where we break through the noise, think critically, and defend the truth no matter which side it comes from. Before we dive into this powerful moment from Congress, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because here, we don't just watch politics happen, we understand it. Now, let's talk about Representative Jasmine Crockett. In this hearing, she did something rare in Washington. She spoke with conviction, passion, and a kind of frustration that's been building up in this country for years. She started by reminding everyone of a simple fact: Joe Biden is no longer the president. The point wasn't about Biden himself. It was about how some lawmakers can't move forward. They're still trapped in the past, obsessed with relitigating every issue, instead of focusing on the problems facing Americans right now. Crockett's message hit hard because it wasn't just political, it was moral. She said this shouldn't be about left versus right, but right versus wrong. And honestly, that line cuts both ways. She's absolutely right that too many in Congress have turned hearings into televised trials instead of opportunities to make laws. But here's where I step in with a right-wing patriotic lens. The frustration she's expressing isn't just a left-wing sentiment. Conservatives feel it too. The system is broken, and both parties play a part in that dysfunction. Crockett also touched on a dark truth: the rise in death threats against members of Congress. It doesn't matter which side you're on. That's unacceptable. And she's correct that the cause of it lies in divisive rhetoric. When politicians and pundits treat politics like war, regular people start believing they're fighting one. We've lost the sense of shared purpose, of what it means to be American first and partisan second. Then came one of the most fiery parts of her speech, her criticism of the Attorney General for going on Fox News and, as she put it, politicizing law enforcement. She accused the DOJ of being about retribution, not justice. That's a heavy charge. From a right-wing patriotic point of view, that kind of accusation hits a nerve. For years, conservatives have said the same thing, that justice is being used as a political weapon. But here's the twist. Crockett's saying it too, from the other side. That tells me something deep. People across the spectrum are losing faith in fairness. That's not a partisan issue. That's a crisis for democracy itself. Now, let's address her comments about Elon Musk. She called him a crook, accused him of operating above the law, and celebrated protests against him. Whether you agree or not, it reveals something critical about modern power. Musk represents a new kind of oligarch, not a government tyrant, but a private one. He's reshaping industries, communication, and even public policy with his influence. The right often praises him as a free market hero, but Crockett's point reminds us that unchecked power, corporate or governmental, can be dangerous. And as a patriot, I have to say, freedom means accountability. No one should be untouchable. Her defense of diversity, equity, and inclusion also deserves attention. She linked the rejection of DEI to the erosion of trust in law enforcement, especially among marginalized communities. From a left-wing patriotic stance, that's essential because justice must represent everyone. But even from a right-wing patriotic lens, there's truth there too. Real equality isn't about quotas or politics. It's about fairness and understanding. Crockett's story about becoming a public defender, being hired because she brought something unique to the table, that wasn't about identity politics. It was about perspective, empathy, and representation. That's what real service looks like. In the end, her message was clear. This isn't a fight between left and right. It's a fight between those who want to move America forward and those who want to keep playing politics while the country falls apart. She reminded us that leadership isn't about winning debates. It's about making life better for the people who elected you. What I heard from Jasmine Crockett wasn't just frustration, it was truth. The system is divided, corrupted by ego and money on both sides. But if we want to fix it, it starts by admitting that we've all contributed to this mess. Whether you call yourself a liberal or a conservative, we're still Americans, and that should mean something. So if you believe in that kind of honest conversation, if you believe in calling out hypocrisy, no matter who it comes from, then Think Big is where you belong. Subscribe, share this video, and let's keep the fight for truth alive. Because in the end, it's not left versus right. It's about what's right for America.